Avast ahoy and g'day once again to ye mateys. I be Josh the Pirate, and I be here for a little bit of homebrewing and mucking around. Just trying out some stuff. I will just make that go away because that's not accurate right there. There we are. I'm here to do a little bit of homebrewing because I want to play in the Battletech system. I want to play in the Battletech universe. I want to run games in the Battletech universe. But problematically, there isn't a decent system available to do that. So, I'm going to have to make my own. I have decided. Am I mad? Possibly. Am I insane? Almost certainly. But is this a good idea? Maybe. Who knows? We'll find out. I have mucked around with a few different systems. I've had a look at several different ones, and I just couldn't wrap my head around the Battletech one. Which is problematic. Are you sexy? Absolutely. Why, thank you, Serum. Very kind of you to notice. My idea today is to come up with a system for that thing there. I recommend single dice system, D6 or D12. I don't disagree. In fact, Tony Karlstrom, I am actually, that is where my brain is currently at. My watchwords, and this I think is where I want to start, is actually come up with a sort of what I want to achieve. And how I want to achieve it. And I think my primary thing is actually going to be simplicity. I want to make it simple. Mech Warriors meets D&D. Basically, exactly. Serum? Yeah, 100%. That is what I am wanting to do. There is a Battletech RPG system. So Battletech is the universe in which Mech Warrior happens. And some of the games, like the most recent tactical one, is called Battletech. And I hecking love it. I am currently playing Mech Warrior 5. Pretty much, Tony. And I have been looking for a couple of months now for a system that you can modify to bring Battletech and Mech Warriors into. And there just isn't anything. GM Radio Rob. Oh, god damn it. I joined the stream and there's a big mech. You knew I was coming, didn't you? Oh, GM Radio Rob, are you into mechs? Because you have joined us in the right place. So I am very keen for this. I want to make this work. But I haven't managed to find a system that actually does it. Brendan and I had a go with Last Shooting, and hecking loved it. It's a beautiful game. But it's not very mechanics heavy. It's really just telling a story. There's so much depth, so many cool mechs. Exactly. I have my favorite sci-fi, my favorite secondhand bookshop has currently got tons of Mech Warrior, of Battletech books, and I'm just working my way through them. I plan to go and pick up basically the last of his stock. There's about 60 novels. I've got about 20 of them at the moment, and I'm working my way through them. The lore is really deep. I've got some of it behind me. I've got House Kurita, and the Major Periphery States, and the Wars of Reaving source books. I also own House Liao's source book, but I don't know where it is. Sleek futures and cool machines are my jam, Josh. Mechs are my preferred flavor of icing. Excellent. Mechs are so much fun, and so ripe for storytelling. But the only system, the official Catalyst Game Labs Mech Warrior RPG system, is A, really impenetrable, and B, doesn't actually have anything to do with Mech Combat. You are playing an RPG in their universe, but you could do that, I think, with D&D. You don't actually need to change the rules too much to make that work. Do you know there's an official Pacific Rim RPG on the way? I did not know that, but that's useful information to have. But I still don't think it's going to. There are a few elements that I think are core to Battletech as a system for the Mech Combat, because I think for the actual gameplay of it, there's no particularly good reason why you can't just use 5e rules with maybe a few extra skills like piloting thrown in there. The only issue really is that class options are fairly limited because magic isn't a thing in Battletech. It's sci-fi future, science can look like magic, but in fact, they're in it. The lore is that they are in something of a technological dark age. That they've been at war for like 300 years, and just constant drain on their resources has actually reduced the technological level in the universe to the point where they're forgetting how to make their coolest shit. So the Gauss cannon, for example, is an exceptionally rare gun because no one knows how to make it anymore. The last machinery, the last manufactories that built them were destroyed in the Succession Wars. Lore is very deep and very good, and I would endorse Tech's Talks. If you are looking for good Battletech lore videos, YouTube Tech Talk, Techs as in T-E-X, Techs of the Black Pants Legion. He does a really good series on overviews of various mechs, like this boy beside me, the Rifleman, which is a really cool mech. It's a little lightweight in terms of armor for its weight class. It's a 60-ton mech, which is fairly big. It's on the bigger side. It's called a medium. It's a heavy mech. It's just the lightest kind of heavy mech. But its armament is berserk. And so yeah, it trades armor for armament. But having now playing Mech Warrior 5, you see a rifleman just aim low and take its legs out, the poor fucker will be down in under 10 seconds. And what's fun about playing Mech Warrior and playing Battletech, or having played Battletech, is I've got a whole bunch of my favorite mechs in Battletech that I'm like, these are really good mechs. And then you play them in Mech Warrior, you're like, oh, this is shit. And a couple of mechs that I do not have any time for at all in Battletech are fucking dope in Mech Warrior. That's the redo of the original Robotech Macross design of the Rifleman, isn't it? Yes, I believe. GM Radio Rob, all of the original Farsa Corporation mech designs are not canon. For one very good legal reason, they stole them. They stole the vast majority of their artwork from other places, from one specific other place, I believe a Japanese corporation, who was doing similar mech stuff at the time. And there was a massive legal shitstorm about it, to the point where a good portion of their stuff just ain't canon. Gundam, yeah. And yeah, they're just not allowed anymore. And Farsa folded, and the whole system just sort of crashed. Around 2000, I think, which was the last time you could get Mech Commander, the game. Mech Commander 2 came out, I think, 99 or something, and was great. Fucking my jam completely. Mech Warrior 2 and Mech Commander 2 came out at the same time. I had them in a bundle. Both great. With the Black Knight expansion for Mech Warrior 2. And then Catalyst eventually, like, several people tried to reboot the franchise and just didn't manage it. Kit Fox was cool. Yeah, Clan Mechs. There was a Mech Assault game for the Xbox, the original X-Bone. The original Xbox, not the X-Bone. And it was, again, very much my jam. I'm like, oh, heck yeah. Mech Warrior 5 is the latest iteration of that, and it's pretty good. Although it does require a fundamental relearning of how to control things on a because I'm playing it on my Xbox, and with two thumbsticks to control a battle mech. They don't drive like a human, so basically it's the left thumbstick. Forwards and backwards send you backwards and forward. Would normally go forwards and backwards, and if you push left or right, you move to the left or the right. That would be logical, right? No. We are driving a giant tank on legs, so forwards and backwards are your throttle and brake. And left and right are your steering. I'm like, makes sense logically, but when you're used to Halo and games of that ilk, it is really hard to retrain your brain. Because if you want to creep, you move your thumb slowly over, you expect the legs to do that. And they do for a while, but if you keep cranking over that way, your legs will continue turning. To the point where you're pointing away from the thing because your torso doesn't have full 360 rotation. It's quite irritating. But as you get used to it, it took me a while to get used to it, but I have managed to break through it. So there's that. There's Mech 5 and Battletech being the other side of it. Very, very cool. So yes, when Catalyst bought them all up and started re-releasing stuff, all the books I've got behind me are Catalyst books. And yeah, they had a good go at rebooting the franchise, and I believe commissioned brand new art. Walking forward, shooting backwards would be super handy. And canonically, the Rifleman actually has the ability, because its torso rotation is really shit, and it doesn't have any rear-mounted weapons at all. Canonically, its guns can just turn through 180 degrees on its shoulders and just point backwards. Which is kind of fun. And it's fun stuff like that, and you can find all of that stuff in the text talks. He starts out doing like 10-minute videos, but by video 9 or something, they're getting to like the 2-hour mark, where he goes into the background and the history of each mech in ludicrous detail. There is a 3-hour monstrosity, which is basically a breakdown of the Ameris Civil War through to the beginning of the Succession Wars and the end of the Star League. I'm like, sure, I'm not doing anything else. I had a commission to paint recently, and I just did that whilst listening to it. It was really good. It's well edited. There's some good videos. Yeah, would endorse Text Talks. He's also dealing with a lot of mental health issues, and yeah, he's just a nice guy. With a beautiful, like, movie announcer, like, are you ready for the excitement? It's that voice. It's great. So I should just mention a few things. I'm Josh the Pirate. Most of you probably know me. I run D&D and other stuff here on Corsair's Cove, my channel, and you've joined me. Thanks for doing that. Keep doing it. If you like my face and voice, you can also check me out at There Be Dragons, the podcast, where I play the infamous and deadly pirate Scan Felspar und his little dragon, Rush. I also need to talk about Ukraine. The Ukrainian people are having a bit of a shit time right now, as you may have heard. And so we are putting the link in chat for the Emergency Action Appeal. It's a group of charities and not-for-profits who have banded together to try and raise money for the Ukrainian people because they're having a shitty time. 11 million Ukrainians are fleeing the violence. Currently, they are refugees in other countries. And we have so far, not us personally, but the Emergency Action Appeal has managed to raise over $4 million for that, which is really good. And if we can do a little bit more, that'd be great. So if you have any spare pennies in your digital wallet, that'd be awesome if you could flick them that way. We also have all the socials, I can't spell, and the YouTube is almost up to date, with the exception of last night's episode with Dan, where we did a little bit more homebrewing. We homebrewed the Anvil-wrought race type for Helvig, and we also homebrewed the Pact of the Inner Flame Warlock subclass, because he's not an elemental boy anymore. His god is dead, so he needs a new person. And if you want to join us on our Discord and hang out and give suggestions and just have a nice welcoming place to hang out on the internet webs and find Dan, because he lurks there, you can check us out in that Discord link there. I don't think there's anything else I need to talk about. So, I think first of all, I probably need to get to goals. What I intend to achieve with this. Let me see it. Let's make it a little bit bigger. 16. Okay, cool. I want it to be simple. Easy to use. Keep it simple, stupid. I think is the idea. Basically, my fundamental drive there. But I still want... Yeah, I've got to find the balance, because I also... I was thinking about this last night. Because my original intention with this was to, come up with a mech fighting system. But for the actual world around it, when they're not driving mechs and they're just doing the RP, I had originally thought, I'll just use Quest. Quest is a really good, a little bit of crunchy mechiness. Yeah, exactly, you want that. So I want some of the elements that make a mech commander, a mech warrior, and Battletech interesting, that make them that delightful complexity, but without mechanical complexity. So I want the game to be complex, but not the rules. I think that's a good way of putting it. Complex game. Simple rules. Yeah. But so originally the idea was Quest, because Quest is extremely flexible, and you could I've only played Quest as a player once. Oh no, twice. And this is it. So I played it twice. Once we played a 3-shot with Sean O'Donovan from Paradise Productions, Paradise RPG, and he took us through a solar punk themed futuristic world. Very, very cool. Very, not solar punk, but similar vibes to cyberpunk. But yeah, cyberpunk, but with eco-friendly in it, basically. And very, very cool. And it worked perfectly for it. Didn't matter. And then I played another one, which was a cooking game. As in Iron Chef. We did Iron Chef. And I ported a D&D character that I built for a different campaign straight over into it, and it made total sense. And Herga joint won the Iron Chef. Iron Age Chef, I think they called it. And yeah, so Quest, very, very flexible system, based purely on a D20, and anything over 10 is a success, and anything between 6 and 9, I want to say, is a partial success. Like, you manage it, but it costs you. And then 5 to 2 is you fail, and 1 is you fail bad, and a nat 20 is obviously a really good success. So I originally considered that, but the thing I like about 5e, and I think the thing a lot of people like about 5e, is that it is quite complicated, but it's not as complicated as, say, Pathfinder. There is a level of complexity there, but there isn't. With Quest, you do have a lot of flexibility. I wonder whether Heavy Gear and or Jovian Chronicles would be worth looking at least for mech rules inspiration. Heavy Gear, you say? Quite possibly, Jovian Chronicles. What's the one I've got to look at? I've got so many things in my D&D book. Starship Warden is something I'm gonna have a look at. I've got the Quest digital book. Yeah, I've got loads of other not D&D games. Thanks, GM Radio Rob. I like that idea. I will have a look at that. I think Quest is, whilst it is rife for, it's extremely adaptable, it's not very complex. And I do like a little bit of rules heaviness. I like some mechanics. I do like me some mechanics. Like in Quest, whenever you make an attack, it does either 1 or sometimes 2 damage. Everybody has 10 hit points. That's it. I think we can go more complicated than that. Fake offense. Hey, Pathfinder isn't complicated, it's intriguingly complex. It is intriguingly complex, and that's the thing. Complex game, simple rules, that's what I'm aiming for. I actually think we want mech crunchiness. I think that's actually because it's telling me that's not a word. Oh, there you go. I think you might be right. I think we want that sort of that visceral feel to it. It's almost sort of, yeah, I want to convey that feeling of a technological dark age with it. Tech age. But I'm actually wondering how little I actually need to modify even 5e for it. You would have to limit the classes somewhat. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, you could totally still have a barbarian. You could totally still have a fighter. You could totally still have a rogue. Because they don't have magic. But that got me thinking on what else could you still have. I think Artificer would make total sense. Have a technician class. Yeah, exactly, Serum. Yeah. because particularly with Artificer, the magic, even I would still be fine with magic as long as you can make an argument for it being, it's really just a skill that they have, that they can do this quite quickly. Yeah? I would say probably a limit on like subclasses, like Armorer, it would really be more about the mech rather than you. Battlesmith, yeah, you could have an angry little robot. Semi-Dark Age Deal Artificer is a mech, yeah. Wizard, Theoretical Scientist, that one would be tricksy. I don't mind it. I could see Warlock for that reason. And it's basically your Eldritch Blast is basically a laser pistol, which is a very rare weapon in Battletech. Most people carry slug throwers because it's hard to maintain a laser that small and actually have it have a punch. So Wizard, maybe. I think basically it would limit your spell list a bit, and you need to be able to express it in a non-magic fashion. So yes, you have these spell slots, like Sending totally could work. You have a radio essentially that only you know how to work because you're in a tech dark age, so not everybody knows how to program that shit. In fact, Sending would make you a Comstar acolyte. Which leads me neatly into clerics. Because there is a religion. I mean, all of the religions are actually still up there. You still have Muslims and... I haven't learned to use radioactive style waste. Looks like magic, but isn't. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, I could see Ranger. But Druid wouldn't work. Just doesn't really work. Doesn't really fit the theme. It's a nature-based sort of class within a very not nature-based setting. So I struggle to figure a way Druid could work. I would also basically just say everyone is variant human. Human or variant human, I don't mind which. Though an argument could be made for dwarf, but everybody is a human. So 5e with tweaks. Main gameplay. Basically tweak 5e for the main gameplay. Because I don't want to go into mutants or anything like that, because firstly they're not a thing in the universe. It's all tech. So you could possibly say they are clanners. Because the clans, the potted history of the universe is that in the 2400s, I think, the Star League is formed and goes for about 300 years, and it's very much a golden age of humanity. The Terran hegemony is this little group of systems around Earth, and the inner sphere is considered to be the larger systems around them, run by a collaboration of noble houses, essentially. And Ian Cameron manages to get everybody to agree to be part of the Star League. And yeah, it's great. Everything is groovy. There is a major war to incorporate all the people who didn't want to be part of the Star League. Mostly just the periphery states. It was supposed to only take like 3 years. It took 20. But they eventually managed to bring in the periphery states as junior members and so forth, and eventually everything became good. And then Stephen Amaris fucked it all up. As will happen inevitably with any sort of landed monarchy, the Camerons, everybody has inherited positions. One time we got just a shitty Cameron Lord. The system would have to a lot of dual class like stuff. Different mechs fit into specific classes, and pilots could be different classes again. Pilots are much more classic 5e. Mechs are more customized job-based classing. Gunner, Ranger, Heavy, Protector, Warrior, Logistics, Healers. Yeah. I think I see what you're going for. I'm almost wanting the gameplay to be two separate things. Like, when they get in the mechs have their own capabilities. And, yeah, Ranger is like, you have outside ability. Oh, exactly. Okay, that's what you mean. Right. I see what you mean. Yeah, so the Ranger would make a particularly... Yeah, Rangers would have an affinity with... So I suppose, yeah, with each class we would have to rebadge it a little bit. Is that what you're saying? To give them extra abilities, like you're a Ranger, so as a Ranger you would have a gunner ability for a mech. And fighters, as you say, or barbarians would have the tank ability to basically take hits better. I think I like that serum. Yeah. Alrighty, I'm gonna note that down. Give each class a special ability. My thinking though is, yes, we could do that, or we make it like a feat, and when you are building your Mech Warrior, you select two, and I build a list of feats that you get two things that your guy is quite good, so that you're not trapped in, I want to be a particularly good gunner, so I have to be a Ranger, because I'm wanting that flexibility, and also it also keeps it relatively simple, because it means I don't have to change anything from 5e, just limit what they can do. Secret. Ooh, the secret is finished, Tony. I like it. Each class a special ability, possibly just as a feat. But it also means the Ranger pilot, if they jump into a heavy mech, they have a disadvantage at X, but boost to the gun's feat in that mech. I see what you mean. Well, then maybe we have positive and negative feats, and you have... Because in Savage Worlds, in the Savage World system, you get, basically, intrinsically, you get one positive attribute when you build your character, and then you can take a second positive attribute if you are willing to take also a negative attribute. So we could do something like that, like when they're building their character, you say, I want the gunner feat, but I also want the heavy mech specialist feat. To get that, I will take the medium mech, I'm like rubbish at piloting medium mechs, disadvantage. Because I don't want to limit a Ranger to you just not allowed to. If in the case of this example, means that all Rangers are crap at piloting heavy mechs. I think it's a good point, Serum, and I think, yeah, I reckon that gives you the flexibility of it, whilst also, because I think your idea is a very valid one. So give each class special ability, possibly, or possibly, bonus features on character creation to tweak what the pilot is good at and possibly not good at. And possibly some of these features to balance them, yeah, you are good at that, but you also are not so great at that thing, and it just sort of comes with. Means you can create more unique combos. Will require some nerfing, buffing until it balances. That is my intention. I'm going to start out with a couple of one-shots to try this system out and see what works and what doesn't work, and then the intention long term is to play a full campaign in it. Mass Effect. Had a look at Mass Effect 5e. As in, is there a Mass Effect conversion for 5e? Is that what you mean, Tony? Because that sounds very much like what we're looking for. Cool. Thank you very much. So hang on, I might just make a list of things to look at. Mass Effect 5e. Heavy gear. What else did we say? Because GM Radio Rob had some suggestions earlier. Jovian Chronicles. It was why I was intrigued with Tony Karlstrom's Mutant Chronicles, actually. How much should cool technobabble fit in? Sticks hands up for one shots and possibly campaign. Yeah, absolutely. GM Radio Rob, I somehow doubt I am not going to struggle to populate this. But yes, noted, my friend. Thank you very much. Castellan is already like, ooh me. Yeah, Castellan was all about Mech Warrior as a kid. I didn't get into it until my teens. But apparently, the theme song for the animated TV show was like the theme song for his childhood. No, and this is again, Tony. We're not talking about Star Trek Tech Babble because it's a dark age. Most of the people don't actually know how they do stuff. So yeah, the vast majority of the people in this universe are farmers. So yeah, I was giving a potted history of the universe. Basically, yes, Stephen Amaris, ruler of the Rimworld's Republic, for generations his family have been like, fuck the Star League, fuck the Star League. Very quietly, very much on the down low. And he engineers a plan to basically buddies up with the young, ignorant, stupid First Lord Richard Cameron. And Richard Cameron, just a terribly poor judge of character, listens only to Stephen Amaris. Eventually, Amaris kills him and his entire family, and basically appoints himself First Lord of the Star League, and everyone's like, the fuck you say? Fortunately, Richard Cameron had a guardian, because he was a child ruler. The guardian was General Alexander Kerensky. Alexander Kerensky was like, up with this I will not put, and basically turned the Star League Defense Force, the greatest army ever built by man, on Stephen Amaris, and was like, I am going to crush you, and does so. And it was touch and go. He did not think, like, everyone was like, well, he's not going to manage it. He did. And yeah, at the end of it, there's a massive power vacuum. And all the other, there are 5 major states that aren't the Camerons. There's the Kurita, House Kurita, House Liao, House Davian, House Steiner, and House Marek. And each of their first lords were like, so I should be king now. Yes, I should be king. Cool. And everybody else was like, no. And Alexander Kerensky basically spent a decade trying to stop a succession war. And Marek is the best, you say. I'm a Davian man myself. I'm very fond of Hans Davian. But that's my era. That's the era I quite like. I am not so up on the sort of post-succession wars, post-clan invasion. I'm good at just before. Tail end of third succession war is my jam. Marek is the best. I am enjoying... So I'm currently Mech Warrioring it up, Sharpie, and I'm currently tracking my way across Marek space, across the Free Worlds League. There are several good audiobooks on the YouTubes, and I'm currently listening to a Marek-based one. You're supposed to like Davian the best. I do like Davian the best. I'm playing Battletech. Great game. Yes, it is. Oh my god. I recently did an Iron Man run all the way, and yeah, that was fun. Each guy was like, yes, I want to be king. Kerensky spent a decade trying to get them to agree on who should be the next king. They couldn't, and they kept saying, like, hey, that army that we paid for, but it doesn't really belong to anybody anymore. Can we have it, please? And he eventually just said, you know what, fuck all of these guys, takes his army and leaves. And doesn't just go home, he goes back to Earth, grabs all his shit, and then leaves the galaxy, or leaves the human-settled worlds, takes his army and fucks off, thinking, I'll come back when we'll go away, we'll wait a couple of generations, come back, gather some strength, and we will re-establish the Star League, goddammit. The Inner Sphere. Well, they don't just leave the Inner Sphere, they go out beyond the periphery, GM Radio Rob. They go well out. And they do. And then about, 400, 500 years of just interscene squabbling between the great houses commences. There are officially 4 succession wars. But, nobody manages to agree on who should be the next king for about 400 years. Until come from behind victory from Sun Tzu Liao. Is the first lord of the second Star League. But it took a while. It took a long while. Yeah, you're supposed to like them the best. You've got to buck the trend. Marek is a hot mess. So much going on there. You see, I have a bit of a soft spot for Liao just because of how much of a hot mess they are. But Davian. This is it. I'm English. Davian is based on the Brits. The Inner Sphere are the world's closest to Earth, but there's closest is a general term. The Inner Sphere is about 2/3 of the entire settled the entirety of human settled worlds. Then there's the periphery, which is about another third or beyond that, and then there is the deep periphery and beyond. And Kerensky took his guys and went beyond the deep periphery. They came back 300 years later as the clans. Potted story of that is Alexander takes them away, says, this is what I want to do, guys, then dies. His son Nicholas comes along and says, I've got a way better idea. And because I'm my father's son, he'd like this. And everyone's sort of forced to go, I guess. He was very good at manipulating people. And he basically, established a space Mongols vaguely sort of thing. They're awful, but the underdog. Yeah, exactly. They come back 300 years later with a very, very bizarre, basically warriors are the highest point of the social caste structure, their eugenics is very much a thing, and their technology is top shelf because they haven't forgotten anything. They've spent the last 300 years fighting to make themselves better at stuff, whereas everybody else has spent the last 300 years fighting to make themselves kings of the broken rocks. And forgetting how to build all this shit. So they arrive and really fuck shit up. They conquer about 1/3 of the known settled worlds, and then they're eventually stopped by intergalactic AT&T. I shit you not. Comstar. The only people they have a monopoly on galactic communications. They've turned it into a religion, which is an excellent way of stopping technological degradation because religions are really good at keeping the status quo. It's why the exact same thing happened in the Imperium of Man in Warhammer. Yes, the HPG system. The hyper pulse generators, which are the only means of interstellar faster-than-light communication, other than just putting a letter on a jump ship and jumping from star to star to star. Which is a very limited way of doing it because the jump drives can only take you about 30 light years at a time. They come back. Everybody sort of has to put aside their petty squabblings to fight the clans. They do, and that's a potted history of the Battletech universe up to the clan invasion. There you go. Back soon. Showering. Fair enough, GM Radio Rub. Okay, so... so the point of that was that there isn't a huge amount of tech babble. The primary 3 different kinds of weapons in that battle mechs mount are lasers. Everybody knows what a laser is. missiles, everybody knows what a missile is, and ACs, which stands for autocannons, or just a big gun. Essentially what a tank carries. That. So that's not unapproachable. Some mechs have jump jets. Again, we can imagine what a mech with jump jets would look like and be very, very cool. It's amusingly in Mech Warrior, I don't use them at all. In Battletech, super useful. Mech Warrior, pretty shit. And there are elements of Mech Warrior and elements of Battletech that I want to include in this. Because in Mech Warrior, they make targeting your enemies harder to do, whilst not really affecting your... Like, you travel in a parabolic arc. It's not overly difficult to shoot you, except that it's really difficult to track the mech that quickly. But that's just with a remote. I reckon it's a game that's clearly designed for computer, not for Xbox. It doesn't play as well on the Xbox, but it's good fun and I enjoy it. Whereas in Battletech, jumping makes you harder to hit. Like, mechanically, it makes you harder to hit, increases your evasion, and that, I think, is a really cool mechanic and something I would like to include, but I want to find a simple way of doing it. So, let's have a list of mechanics I want to include. Evasion. Heat build-up. I'm too busted to play arcade-style games. Yeah, fair enough. I very rarely do. About once a year I pick up something like Gears of War or Halo and have a couple of days of madcap silly fun and then I put it away again. But I had COVID a couple of weeks ago and I needed something to do. Because I wasn't so sick that I just had to lie down, but I wasn't very healthy at all. Another big thing that governs how many weapons a mech can have and shoot regularly is heat. And it works very differently depending on if you're playing a first-person or a turn-based shooter. A turn-based tactical game. In the turn-based tactical game, you basically just have a maximum... you can... Well, this is it, because there was a real-time tactical game, Mech Warrior 2, Mech Commander 2, which you had to have... you basically, each weapon produced a set amount of heat, and you had to have enough... heat sinks on a mech to be able to handle that amount of heat. Simple. In Battletech, you can be a little bit more selective about it. There is a heat bar on the side of the mechs, and so you know how hot each one is running, and you can selectively switch off guns to reduce the amount of damage, to reduce the amount of heat you are generating per turn. In Mech Warrior, when you're playing, you overheat and you have to reduce your rate of fire or fire guns that don't generate as much heat. I'm particularly fond of the Marauder, which 2 PPCs, 2 lasers, and an autocannon. PPCs and lasers generate a lot of heat, so when I'm running hot, I just switch to the autocannon. My games are XCOM, Battletech, Blood Bowl. There's a theme here. Yeah, you like turn-based tactical RPG. Makes sense to me, buddy. So do I. You just named 3 games that I really enjoy as well. Civilization. Warhammer Total War. It's real-time, but it's also turn-based. I have dropped over 10,000 hours into Civ 5. You know how you say you can master something in 10,000 hours? Boom. 14. Thank you very much. Too much. There's a couple of years of my life where I was intensely bored. Oh yes, Civ! I haven't played that game in a long time. Yes. So I wanted to put heat build-up in there because I think it's a really cool mechanic, and it's really... It very puts a sharp limit on what a mech can do. Armor. And locational damage. For mechs. Skyrim, mod the crap out of it and then watch it crash to desktop. Recoil. Good call. That's a maybe. Because, yes, cool, but also I don't... Firstly, it's not something that they've got in Mech Warrior 5. There is no real effects of recoil. It's sort of, you're in a 75-ton mech. I don't see why it can't just take the recoil of one of its guns firing. But I put a question mark on it because, yeah, it could spoil your aim. But I'm also trying to keep it simple. Don't want to throw too many things at them. Heat buildup, like armor is very much a you're building your mech situation. That's the only way to balance ACs with lowering the damage. That's true. So recoil on ACs. Well, the other way of balancing is rate of fire. Which is, I think, how Mech Warrior does adjust for it, because firstly there is aim assist, and that's accommodated for by a targeting computer. Makes kind of sense. But yeah, the gun fires. You can't just. There is recoil on the machine guns, which are consistently firing. Ammo loads for missiles and cannons. Yes, ammunition. Correct. And a lot of this information, I want to keep it canonically accurate. So I want to be able to open up a resource book, like House Kirita, say, and find a particular mech at the back of it. Now I'm going to find that there aren't any mechs at the back of this book at all. But there's spaceships in here as well. There's a bunch of different rules for dropships. There we go. That was one. Space dock repair suit. Oh, okay. No, that's There's that's very cool. There's animals at the back. There is the dragon dove, which is a popular predator on Dover. That's very cool. I like that. Gonna give me any mechs in here at all? Oh yeah, there's these. That's for a dropship. There's an Aerodyne dropship record sheet. Spheroid dropship. Ow. There's a heavy riot infantry platoon. Can we get any mechs at all? Any mechs in here? Ooh, there was a picture. These are gorgeous books. Myomo research team? Oh, it's a sexy one. Gorgeous picture. Very cool artwork in here. AI assisted systems give more heat. Ooh. Yeah, so things to modify your mechs with. No, I don't think it's got any actual mech rules in here at all. But this is the point of it. This is almost the point. Battletech rules, new unit types. Yeah, it doesn't have anything at all. Personal equipment. Creatures, trade. Yeah, wow. It doesn't have a darn thing in there. Is there any in here? There you go. Oh, these are like, the Space Hound. These are like, industrial mechs. The Rock Hound, it's a drilling mech. It's for, it's for mining. It's got a lift hoist, a short-range missile 4 on its shoulder. It weighs 40 tons. There you go. I don't know if you can see. And if I bring it in very, very close, you can see little dots on it. Those are for marking off armor damage. Because the original well, the current Battletech RPG system, A Time of War, basically when you switch to Mech Combat, you switch to the tabletop war game, which is a neat idea and a really great way of getting people to pay for two different game systems. And it does sort of track. I mean, that's what we do for D&D. We switch to a tabletop board game, but the rules are integrated into your battle sheet. I don't hate it as an idea, but it does. I was just like, I need a whole set of new books to be able to play Mech Warrior, to be able to drive a mech in my game. So we are saying, can you use you can use a targeting computer to account for recoil in a Battletech, but it takes tons and slots. Yes, AI assist systems give more heat. Both of these are good. AI targeting, or AI/targeting systems that weigh more and / or generate heat / cost more. Probably all of the above. Yep. This is all just mech stuff. Yeah, cool. Alright, so that's sort of the stuff that I want to pop into, mechanics for the mechs that I want to include. So let's look at character archetypes, classes, races that we can use in the game without any real need for modification at all. I think fighter makes perfect sense. Simple, easy to remember. Just no Eldritch Knight or Arcane Archer, unless see, that being said, I could make Arcane Archer work. Arcane Archer works fine. Returned and clean. Good to hear, Radio Rob. I actually don't even want to cross those out. I think Eldritch Knight and Arcane Archer could both work fine. Samurai could work amazingly, particularly for somebody from the Draconis Combine. Yeah, Fighter, not a problem. Say Rogue, absolutely makes sense. Rouge? Rogue? That's how you spell Rogue. Barbarian. Also, totally tracks. Makes sense. Simple, easy to remember. I wonder if their usefulness is that great, but with something like the Barbarian, you would kind of assume a degree of... I would probably bake in... I think I like Serum's idea of abilities that come with the class. So why don't we say that all of those features that we were talking about, like Gunner or Technician or something like that, you get to pick one for free, but the classes come with a couple of options that you just get from being that class. Barbarian, for example, tank. The ability to just tank more damage. Or heat. Because the primary reason that mechs can't just get hotter and hotter and hotter is because the pilot will die. And a barbarian pilot can just take more heat. I think I like that idea. So possibly bake in a couple of options for features into each class, and then allow another free pick I'm going to put a question mark, but I think that's a good idea. Probably bake in something tanky into the barbarian. The fighter, rogue, barbarian, all the classes. Monk. See, monk, I'm less down for. Though key, you could just like. The name of the ability is key, but it's not the mystical energy. It's really just they're good at fighting shit. So again, monk. Are you trying to stay away from mage classes that could be reflavored as technomancers, hackers? Codeman83, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm not trying to stay away from them. I'm sort of just tackling the easier ones first. But yeah, definitely, this is the thing. I think we would have to reflavor. Yeah, exactly, as you say. Technomancers, hackers. Because the setting is, this is being built for Battletech, the Mech Warrior setting, where magic is not a thing. So converting 5e stuff to dark tech would take some fiddling. Yeah. And yeah, so we say monk, definitely. I have no issue with monk, though I think basically it's just like a slightly more fighty rogue. And like we've said, Artificer. Artificer makes total sense. And I think with all of any of the spellcaster classes, it would require like conversation with the DM. Basically, you need to be able to justify the ability you're using, the spell you're using, as a technical ability, something that you would have like a pocket laser or something like that. Artificer makes total sense for it and would come with something baked in a technician feature. Yeah, pocket fireball. Whoops. A pocket fireball is a grenade. Easy to do. So basically, these guys are just they're just walking. They're just and you're preparing it. You're preparing your spell slots. Yeah, okay. I'm just putting this grenade in my pocket. But you have a limited resource of them. I don't have a problem with wizard or. Yeah, a wizard or sorcerer or warlock. Warlock makes total sense. Particularly as I spoke about earlier about the clanons. The clans having higher tech that does look a little bit scary like magic. So, yeah, somebody possibly could be an exiled or free birth clansman. Again, without wanting to go too deep into the lore of it, the clans are heavy into their eugenics. And there are people who are born the normal way, but they are considered lesser. I'm rusty, but does Spelljammer book contain tech stuff, or is it mostly into Palinar junk? I am uncertain my own self. And I also am not is Spelljammer out? But I believe the idea is that, yes, sort of spaceships maybe, but still very magic heavy. It's an expansion of rules for 5e, but without like locking off certain things. I particularly like, the most sort of high-techy stuff in Battletech is what makes the mechs go. They have muscles. It's called myoma. It's a sort of miracle substance that when you put electricity into it, it gets stronger. I thought I saw it available the other day on Amazon, was putting together a list for myself of books I didn't have. I could be wrong. It's entirely possible. Spelljammer. It was campaign setting originally published for the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition. Astral Adventurer's Guide, a 64-page hardcover book. Adventures in Space! Spelljammer Adventures in a Space Alternative cover. It's a pre-order by the looks of it, though. Is Spelljammer out? August 16th. Yeah, I think you might have seen it for pre-order, Codeman. I could be wrong if it's got tech, like I said, Rusty. Yeah, just over a month. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what it does. Because, unlike a lot of people, I only started playing 5e, or D&D on roleplay games generally, about 5 years ago. I prefer Starfinder, though. Ah, okay. I watched the game of Starfinder and was intrigued, but don't know it particularly well. Hunt's Lantern, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Monster tactics are my weakest because I feel like the bad guy for attacking certain people. Yeah, I think the trick of it is, and I say this to all of my players, I have one simple rule for DMing. I want you to win, but I am trying to kill you. Because if I don't try and kill you, there's no challenge. I'll rarely succeed. If I find, if anything, if you build a fight, if you build an encounter, you think, fuck, this is going to kill him, you're probably wrong. Just because, if nothing else, they have the brain's trust of 4 people working against just you. If there's no threat of loss, then the success doesn't feel as fulfilling, at least for me. Absolutely. No, this is it. So I have succeeded in killing only a single player character. And he rezzed anyway. I knock them down all the time. Jude gets knocked down every fight. I don't like a fight to end until I've knocked at least someone down. But yeah, because again, yeah, as you say, you've got to have that worry, that sense of loss, that concern. So yeah, I say that to them, and yeah. I think there is a level of tactics that you can use, because you've also got to remember a couple of important things for your NPCs, for your villains, for your baddies. They want to win too. And they make for the most compelling bad guys, because a bad guy who's just prepared to roll over and die is actually a pretty boring bad guy. And you're like, good, well, that's sorted and done. No, I want a bad guy that runs away. And yeah, there was one in Humblewood that worked really, really well and drove them up the fucking wall. Lazarus just would not stay and fight. Unless it's a custom monster or the book says otherwise, I try to go by an NPC monster's intelligence. Mindless monster, smash. Group of drow, various tactics. A valid point as well. Yes, good point. There is dividing the line between meta knowledge and stuff like that. I usually go on who seems like a threat to that person at that time, particularly for smarter people. Particularly for stupid creatures. But also for smarter people generally, just sort of, there was a fight recently where the wizard, who is an abjuration wizard, who is basically impossible to hurt with conventional weaponry. Bannock has a 24 AC when he wants to, and if haste is on him, it goes to 26. It's ridiculous. And yeah, he's basically, you need a nat 20 to hit him. Particularly when you're shooting at him with a crossbow with a guy whose dex is +0. Yeah, he just can't hit unless you crit. So you only hit him one time in 20, but occasionally you do just get to hurt him a bit. And yeah, there were 3 other options, but the rest of them were engaged with the big bad, and this guy who was supporting the big bad was like, I think he's got him, and I don't want to miss and inadvertently hit that guy, so I'm going to shoot that guy who just killed a mate of mine. And yeah, Josh, the DM, knew that he probably wasn't going to hit, but this guy doesn't know that guy's an abjuration wizard. He's not a wizard himself, he doesn't know how wizards work. But yeah, group of drow, very tactical. Wolves, not particularly smart, but they're used to hunting in packs, so Nobble the weak one is totally something wolves actually do. So yeah, you are totally free to do that, and I would say you should, because There's nothing like getting knocked unconscious in a combat and having to make a couple of death saves to think, fuck, I'm in danger. So when you succeed, when you do win, yeah, that's better. Personally, I'm never that into D&D combat, even with high challenge, just because I tend to get bored with the combat mechanics. I love gaming, that's why. D&D pales in comparison to video games in mechanics, however, I love the D&D for the joint storytelling. So when I'm a player, I try and engage in combat while still roleplaying. Oh! Abso-fucking-lutely. Yeah. And it's why I am not a relentless harridan about you're only allowed to say 6 seconds worth of dialogue in your turn. I don't mind them chatting. I don't mind them... I try and limit it a bit. I was like, you can have a couple of sentences. But yeah, the roleplay needs to be the point of it. And I find particularly for the games I run online... I think the longest we've ever gone without a combat was 6 episodes. That's half a season. And yeah, we like to have a big boss fight every now and again. Like the final 3 episodes of the last Humblewood game were a boss fight. So yeah, but RP is the point of it. This is a storytelling channel, and story is our focus. So Dasher.com, hey Daria, amazing, good to see you. Hello. I am very well, my dear. How are you? That's how I like to make my encounters. You can totally be murder hobos and destroy the evil, or hear them out. Nothing against early editions, but 5e seems to have simplified some of the combat well, which I appreciate and prefer to keep the momentum going, and people don't get bored looking up rules for different checks. Exactly. 5e grappling, for example. Yes, absolutely. I do insist that if you're going to play something, you do need to know the rules for your own class. I don't have an incredible memory for rules. Gonna lurk and work for a bit, Zadasha. You are very welcome here. Thank you for joining us. So that's... I do make a point of that because I can't know all of your rules, nor should it be my job to remind you of stuff that can help you beat me. So I'm very much of the no, if you don't remember how you do things, then... And I've had a couple of players that I've had to give a talking to, sort of like a, hey, I just watched the last 3 episodes, and without a long rest, you just used 7 spell slots. You only have 4. And also, did you forget about this ability that you have that would have been super useful in that situation where you all almost died? Just saying, it's the ability, you've never used it, and it might be useful to read your rule sheet. Of course, definitely understand how your own abilities work so people don't sit around looking stuff either. Yeah, absolutely. Spellcasters particularly, you need to know how your spells work because I don't necessarily.
Guilty.
And you're only playing a half-caster.
Still, I have no idea how it works.
We've had some interesting tangents, but I'm making good progress. So, Artificer, definitely a class that we can use. Fighter, Rogue, Barbarian, Monk, absolutely. I don't mind Ranger at all, because a lot of Ranger spells can very much be logic to weigh, just for it's an ability that you have a certain number of in combat. For example, Zephyr Strike. It just lets you move faster. But Misty Step, you literally teleport from one place to another. I would struggle to sort of reconcile that, Ranger, Mech Sniper. Ooh, yes, absolutely. I usually make a custom sheet with my spells or put them on note cards. I loathe the note card system, partially because I'm like, wizards want more of my money, but also you need to have them all. I like to play sitting in a comfy chair, like in my lounge room, if I'm going to play around the room, or in my desk chair where I've got it all up on my monitors and everything. I have a wall of monitors. I have an awful lot of space to put stuff up, so that's where I keep my, if it's digital, D&D Beyond, very useful. I have it on my phone if I've got a complicated set of spells. I don't mean the spell cards you can buy. I have a little index cards, note cards. Oh yeah, okay, sure. So Ranger, I think, can totally work. There are some classes you just wouldn't want to be. For example, Beastmaster, but no one ever wants to be a Beastmaster. You should be a Drake Warden. But also, I don't think a Drake Warden even really makes a lot of sense. So I would like, you can do it, but it's just not that useful. And also a fire-breathing dragon. Like, yeah, you could find some exofauna somewhere. You can find alien life forms. Space Beast! Space Beastmaster. I don't hate it. Now you say it, I don't hate it. But there would be import problems. I think it could be cool. So I'll leave that there. Space Beastmaster. I'm gonna write it down. Space Beastmaster? It was a joke, but hell, you never know. Well, this is it. Let the player give the players the option. Is basically Space Beastmaster is kind of a fun idea. Like, I play a Beastmaster in a podcast. Scan Felspar is 5 levels Beastmaster, 1 level Sorcerer, 1 level Rogue. And Beastmaster is a shit class, and he was my first ever character that I built, and I didn't know that. And I'm a bit peeved with a couple of more experienced players who didn't mention that. Particularly now that Drake Warden has come out, and I'm making an argument that he should be a Drake Warden because he has a little dragon. He's a Drake Warden. Castellan. So yeah, what other classes we got? Cleric. I could see Cleric as a Comstar Acolyte. Again, and healing. Yeah, I could see Cleric. Why not? Does track. I just spent a few minutes looking over the quick start for Everyday Heroes, the 5e modern system that Pacific Rim is going to use. Ooh, might be worth checking out for a way of approaching 5e without magic. Aha! Everyday Heroes. (5e). Way of approaching 5e without magic. Thank you very much, Rob. For Dark Tech Age, Cleric could be Combat Medic. Yeah, that was my thinking, yeah. Have some neat nano healing potions and junk. Yeah, or just like adrenaline. Like, back on your feet, soldier, here's a band-aid, up you go. This is not this is a temporary fix. I think the big thing I would do is that it's not an auto, you are going to need some time in the med bay. Like, stitches aren't going to do this. You are going to need some proper healing. So a more lasting effect from being injured. I can put that there. More major injury. Yeah, get some stuff to keep them on their feet, otherwise eventually they'll need a real rest. And none of this long rest and you're 100%. I reckon that it should be long rest and you are 10% better. I reckon 10 days is how long it takes you to, like, your hit point maximum creeps slowly back up to your full by 10% every day. That will need tweaking, but I think maybe 20%, maybe. Like a lowered max HP, which recovers over several days. Ejection systems and consequences. Cool. Yes, thank you. I'm getting bored of my techno music. Music this evening is provided by Sirenscape, as always. I really enjoy Sirenscape. It's a very flexible service. I will be using it for this game. And that is the techno music that they've got. What else is good? Music of Atlantis? What's that sound like? I don't actually think I've listened to this before. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. That's too quiet. I don't hate it. I'm going to listen to this for a little while. D&D classes. I'd start from scratch and just use these classic D&D races as inspiration. Classes, yeah. The reason I say that is that I'd want a mech class to fit that mech fantasy. For example, I'd want some anime classes to be like the inexperienced hero, who have zero experience piloting mechs, but who do so through a psychic connection with limitations. OP stats for 5 rounds, Space Empire Princess. Lots of social abilities, poor combat stats in real life, but use limited mech super abilities. I think I had a tech supplement from trying to remember the name. Augustus Frogbottom, it is a thought. I'm just wondering how much I want to have to go and start from scratch, you know? Which is why, and I don't know if you were here when we were saying this, so my thinking is currently use standard D&D classes, but each class gets, I'm going to write a list of feats, essentially, that are mech specific. And some of them are positive and some of them are negative. And you can trade to have more positive ones by having negative ones as well. So you can get the I'm shit at piloting mechs, or specific classes of mechs, or mechs generally, I'm not very good on my feet, ability, to increase your ability in other things. And sort of, allows a lot of character customization whilst also having the... so possibly a noob class? Honestly, I think you'll end up doing that much work adapting, especially as D&D has so many more classes, 5 to 8 new classes that serve classic mech character archetypes, or 20 classes adapted and then constantly changed. Yeah! Well, this is what I want to try. This is going to be an awful lot of playtesting and trying things out. I take your point, I really do. I'm going to try it this way, but you may well be right. I want to see if this can work as an alternate 5e setting with some additional rules for mech fighting, mech combat. Because if it can, great. If I do wind up having to completely rejigger a new class and race system, fine. I'm going to make a note of it. Potentially gonna have to ditch classes and start from scratch. Wait to try first. Yeah, because I do think you may well be right. But I want to try this first. And there's also like the Mech Combat element of it, which is the main selling point of any wanting to play a Battletech game, which was my issue with the Mech, with Battletech, the RPG system that they had. There's no Mech Combat in it. You have to go to a different game system for that. And Last Standing, which was the game that Brendan and I tried, Mech Combat game, really good, but actually doesn't feature any mechanics at all. It's literally just a storytelling game. So potentially gonna have to do that. But yeah, I'm beginning to suspect that I reckon in the game that I'm thinking I'm gonna do, I actually don't think any of the classes are gonna not work. I think I think Paladin doesn't really make sense. Sorry, not sure if you answered last question and I missed it. I don't want to be the annoying spam guy. Sorry, what was it? Is it okay to post a link? I found a Mech PDF supplement you might like. I think it's $6. Oh, yeah, please slap a link up. Thanks, Codeman. Didn't see that one, yes. Yeah, just that, like, the power of faith compels you, Paladin sort of thing. Doesn't jibe with the universe at all, which is, whilst it contains all of the major religions of today plus Comstar, is generally secular. Like Cleric, the healer class, I don't think Bard works. It might be simpler to think of classes that don't work. Like music-based magic, I just don't see Bard really working, though there are bards that aren't musically based. But it's all sort of performative. So Bard could work as a caster type, but very limited. AbsoluteTabletop.com, the Mech Hack PDF. I want to put this over here. Bard. Battle Mech with speakers. Now I'm just thinking, the guitarist in Mad Max. The Mech Hack. Mecha Hack. If you're a fan of Gundam, Robotech, Pacific Rim, Battletech, or Transformers, it's the rules-light robot RPG you've been waiting for. Mecha Hack is a tabletop role-playing game for a game of titanic war machines and their intrepid pilots. Made with the Black Hack. The Mecha Hack is a fast, fluid, and fun with a focus on cinematic narrative gameplay inspired by anime and other mecha properties. You'll find a complete Mecha Hack rule set, 4 mecha chassis, and 4 pilot archetypes, over a dozen add-on modules for your unique mecha, GM tools and mission generators, more than 30 enemy stat blocks, printable monsters, mechs, and objects, and so much more. Well, shit. Keep that in the back pocket. Thank you very much, Codeman. DJ Mech Driver with sonic weapons. My god, that reminds me. Apparently there's an official Transformers RPG on its way. There are so many. I'm almost worried about all of them because essentially they're all just... Yeah, they're flooding the market. It's like releasing a Mamorpiga when WoW exists. Think about how you're going to handle weaponry too. Laser swords, Gauss rifles, laser weaponry, missiles, guided weaponry. There's a lot of fun things you could do with these very different weapon systems that aren't really thought about in D&D. For example, do you have point defense guns? Is your warrior tank a point defense rig who shields others by taking out missiles? Or are they built with a shield generator that works best at reflecting laser weaponry? Or maybe they have a shield or projectiles. Sorry, I'm just nerding out and I have to get to work. Not a problem, Augustus. In answer to a lot of those, I'm keeping it true to Battletech. So the options are fairly limited. Laser swords, not a thing. Vibro swords are, though, which are basically just vibrating swords. That the premise is, and I read this in one of the fictions, the blade vibrates really fast, like supersonic fast, and you have to hold it quite hard, I imagine, and the air friction heats the blade to exceptionally hot, and then it just cuts through anything like butter. I'm like, neat. Cool idea. But they, mechs with combat weapons, close combat weapons, are very rare. There is the Hatchetman, and you get the occasional sort of custom job gladiator mech, which has a sword or something. But yeah, more often than not, it's just guns. But yeah, Gauss rifles are a thing. They're very rare and very expensive and difficult to mount and hard to find. Laser weaponry, missiles, guided weaponry, autocannons are your primary stuff. The most nasty gun is really the AC-20, which is a massive cannon, and the Gauss rifle, the PPC, the particle projection cannon, which is like a railgun a bit. well, a Gauss rifle is the railgun, so the particle protection cannon must be something else, but I'm uncertain exactly what it's supposed to be. But it's a laser-type weapon with a very high yield that has a sort of EMP effect as well, which is kind of neat. Point defense guns, machine guns are a thing, but the thing is that mech is driven by one pilot. The technological assistance is minimal. There is AI and stuff like that, but it's the true AI is not a thing. Computer systems. This is a universe that has been technologically backsliding for the best part of 4 centuries, where no one is allowed to blow up spaceships anymore. It's just forbidden because there aren't very many left, and the ability to build them is strictly limited. Like the Inner Sphere produces about a dozen jump ships every year, new ones, because there's only a half dozen shipyards that can make them. So it's just such a social taboo to blow up anything complicated or expensive. Accelerated protons to near light speed. So yeah, it's very similar to basically it's what's underneath CERN, isn't it? Yeah, you get some funny free stuff as well. How would you go wrong with Goblin go-karts? Oh my god. That one I've got to look up just for another Tactics Tuesday at some point. Yes, I will have a look at all of these things. Thank you very much, Codeman. I'm going to put that in my notes as well, just for fun. So we have, what do we need? We have the Mecha Hack. And also, just for fun, Goblin Go-Karts. That's a one-shot Wednesday right there. Want to see the go-kart link? Yeah, go for it, mate. I will copy it to my notes. Augustus, have a good lurk, my friend. I don't mind this music. It's kind of nice. This is Atlantis music. Sort of, don't mind it. Potentially gonna have to ditch all the classes, start from scratch, but we'll wait and try it first. Yeah. I think I might rule out Bard and Pally, just because I struggle to see how it would work. Sorcerer as well, because that's inherent magic. Wizard can work. I could see that. So let's say Wizard, and actually Warlock. Free content equals win. I agree completely. Yeah, so I was a little naughty. Well, not naughty. I raided somebody and then left. Well, and just sort of lurked and walked away from my computer. And if you do this, you sometimes just win shit. And because they were like, somebody in chat gets to win. And if you just leave it on lurk, I have gone away, come back 24 hours later, and my computer is still watching Twitch because I've raids, and I won a free piece of content from Troll Lord Games, which I imagine I won from watching Phoenixy Wacky. And I was like, cool, I like Troll Lord Games, they're really cool people. Yeah, Troll Lord Chuck messaged me on Discord saying, hey, you won! And I was like, did I? Did I even enter? Sounds like something I might have done. Cool, thanks very much. So I went over to their digital store and picked up, and they were like, yeah, you get one free digital thing. I'm like, sick. Awesome. No shipping involved. Let's do it. And I picked up Starship Warden for free. I also picked up Cairn from them as well, I think. Oh no, they might have been Phoenix Games or something like that. But yeah, Cairn, neat little system, and I do want to try it. All right, I better go to bed. Still got to work tomorrow. Yes, I'm. Have a good night. Glad to hang out and looking forward to seeing more about Battletech 5e. Yeah, boy. GM Radio Rob, thanks very much for joining me. I'm not sure I'll continue on much longer my own self, but I'm going to see if I can sort of just nut out all of the classes. I'm thinking no Bard, Paladin, or Warlocks. Because Warlocks, again, it is a very supernatural thing. The Cleric, the healer type, As long as it leans away from the god botherer aspect of it, not a problem. Are there any other classes that I don't want? I don't think so. What other classes are there? Oh, that's not helpful. Barbarian, yes. Bard, no. Cleric, yes. Druid. Said no druids. I don't see how druid could really work. Struggling to remember the classes. Love having my resources right behind me. Cleric, fighter, yes, absolutely fighter. It's the easiest. I considered just saying everybody's a fighter. Deal with it. Monk, paladin, no. Ranger, yes, I suppose, if you want. Rogue, yep, sure. Sorcerer, yeah, I think no sorcerer. That was the other one. War. Because if you want to do magic-y stuff, wizard. Sorcerer. Yeah, there you go. And then wizards, warlocks are the last two. Yeah, cool. And artificer is in that list as well. Yeah, cool. Druids would be transformers of the setting. Yeah, but they aren't. There are no transformers in this setting. So yeah, I'm wanting to say no on that one. Even if you remove their ability to turn into animals, in which case, what's the point of being a druid? Just be a cleric, you know, or a ranger. So you've still got some casters, but it is lambs. Yeah, Sharpie. So let's talk now about these feats. You'd want a gunner feat. You'd want a pilot feat. I almost want to split gunner into a particular weapon type. Specialist with missiles, lasers, or autocannons. Let's try, because I think gunner could be extremely OP. Yeah, possibly with it split between various weapon types. So you have pilot, technician, tank, melee specialist, jump jet specialist, types of meant recon, assault defense. Ooh, yeah. So rather than say tank, we call that. Yes, we should probably save this. Tech 5E is what we will call it, and we will store it in my backup drive. My D&D there, save. So rather than the tank, we call it defense. Warrior, a defensive warrior. I can spell. Melee specialist would be the assault type. Reconnaissance, yeah. Recon. Which would be something around about fast movement, light mechs, and like possibly sensors. Or were you meaning, Tony Karlstrom, more like weight classes? Because I would put that in pilot. In various weight classes. No, a bit too chill. Winding away battle music. What else have we got? Haunted instruments, absent-minded harp. Back alleys, that one's kind of fun. Tony, I don't know if you've watched the it's up on our YouTube, the VOD of last week's session. I don't know if you heard. I was playing music on Sirenscape the entire time, so there is a soundtrack to it, which you probably couldn't hear when we were playing. Both weight classes and feats specializing in the different classes would be important for when making a team. I agree completely. Yeah. Traditionally, what's also kind of fun is that in the Battletech universe, mechs are deployed in groups of 4. It's called a lance, whereas the clans deploy them in 5s, called a star, which I quite like. Anti-air mech? Yeah. I'll tell you what. That boy there is an anti-air mech. That is the rifleman, and it is a very good anti-air mech. Anti-air mech? So, yeah, we would not just say anti-air. So, anti-infantry. Though anybody who goes up against a mech without a mech of their own is insane. Or anti-armor. Tank. Anti-tank. Anti-air mechs, yeah. I want some more like technician stuff that is mech relevant but not specific to whilst piloting a mech. Like more like as Augustus was saying earlier about people who are good supports but not actually particularly good in a mech. Negatives. Negative feats. How's that written? Submersible mechs? It is generally considered all mechs are submersible. They are airtight. They can operate in space. They can operate. They don't operate very well in space, interestingly, because, and I love this, space has no air. But that's not the hindrance you would think. Firstly, flamethrowers and stuff like that don't work in a non-atmospheric environment. But heat dissipation when there's no atmosphere is really, really hard. So mechs overheat really badly when operating in like a complete zero atmosphere environment because there's no atmosphere to transfer the heat away, which I think is really cool. So they can operate underwater pretty well. Their guns don't work super well underwater. For example, an autocannon requires, you may know, it's very difficult to find a gun that can fire underwater. Just modern guns don't fire very well underwater because you're setting off an explosion. Difficult to do that when the thing is wet. So a lot of guns don't work very well underwater, and even if they do, bullets don't travel very far underwater. Unless you have mechs and, guns that are specifically designed for it. Lasers would just heat the water as they pass through it. Missiles would be the only things that would work quite well underwater. Torpedoes, they're a thing. So yeah, I guess. So yeah, but generally it is considered all mechs can go underwater if they their cockpits have decent structural integrity. Mechanic, drive systems, technician, electric systems. Ooh! Pilot, sensor, communications operator, comms, yes. Like it, Tony. Comms, tech, sensor, tech. Mechanic for drive systems. Drive systems. Technician for electrical systems. Electrical systems. These are all great ideas. Love that. Negative feats. Shit pilot. Basically just the opposites of all these other things. Crap with a particular weapon system. E.g. missiles. Just really bad with long-range missiles. Idiot with dump jets. Pretty much just bad at those things. Ooh, PTSD trigger. Oh, I like that. PTSD trigger. Very cool, Tony. Yeah, some psychological stuff. Fear of fire, for example. Or we just have that in there. Fear of fire. Got the old Vampire the Masquerade book? No, I do not. They have inspirational flaws you could translate into this. Yeah. Flaws, that's what we should call them. Not negative feats, they're flaws. So... yeah. Stuff like ugly. Just very unattractive. Potentially. I worry that I would have a lance full of deeply unattractive people who are extremely good at piloting mechs. That would have to come with some mechanical... needs a mechanical disadvantage. Debuff. Rather than just, I'm ugly and that's okay. Maybe they can't handle looking at screen scopes for too long without getting a migraine. Ooh! I wonder how I could utilize that one. I just had a thought as well. Drinking problem. Like an addiction. Again, needs a debuff. But yeah, prone to migraines. Needs a mechanic. Why are we not looking at the thing that I'm typing? There we are. Low gravity tolerance. Maybe if they get a... Yeah. If they get a migraine, then they get negative stats. Yeah, agreed. Temp negative. Yes. Agreed. Prone to migraines. Yeah. Temp debuff after extended action. Yeah, that's interesting. Medical problems could include medical problems or some other medical problem. Yeah. Low gravity tolerance. Drugs for buffs. Withdraw for debuffs. That would almost come under spells. Like if you cast Bless, then there is a cooldown, which is Bane. Yeah. That's a whole new mechanic. I wouldn't put it necessarily in floors. Sort of separate to, but additional to this, but linked would be the idea of performance enhancing drugs and their negative side effects as you come down. Low gravity tolerance spawn on a low gravity world. Working on a high gravity world would be a big problem. Yeah. I don't have an issue with it. I think it's a cool idea. I'm not sure how much variation there. Like, obviously, there is in the real world there is a lot of variation between worlds and between the gravities of them. I don't know how much in universe there isn't a lot of detail gone into about it, and it's a neat idea. I think it's too situational to be problematic. Like, if they're sitting down, unless they were born, unless they are seriously flimsy. Spaceborne, for example, but that's just not. It's not that much of a thing in the universe, and again, my brain is going KISS. Let's keep it simple. But a neat idea. I've seen it used really cool in sci-fi, but I'm maybe not that. I'll pop it down as a maybe. I got off work a bit ago, starting to pass out. It was fun, but I got to crash. Have a great rest of your stream. Thanks very much, Codeman. Thanks for the follow, buddy. It was lovely having you in chat. Thank you very much. Yeah, you were an extremely useful bean. Yeah, very cool. Have a good sleep. Nice meeting you. Gravity tolerance / high gravity tolerance. Tolerance. There would be a use for it, because dropships can accelerate faster than 1G, and that's what generates their gravity. They don't even have gravity plating. Tech is very low grade. It was nice to meet you. Thanks very much. Bouncing off ideas off multiple people always leads to fun. Terrible fun. No, valid. Codeman, sleep well, buddy. Lovely to meet you. Have a nice night. Low gravity, high gravity tolerance. So if you have a low gravity tolerance, then your ability to withstand acceleration for extended periods of time on spaceships means that ships have to travel slower to accommodate you, otherwise you'll die. That's cool. Meaning ships have to travel slower while you are on them. That could make that work and actually be quite useful. There we go, Tony. There you are. Or you get hurt. Yeah. So when you land, you have a debuff. You have a debuff. But things cost money to maintain long term, so yeah, you can, and also being on a ship that goes slower, yeah, we have to be on the ship for longer, so it costs more to be there. This works. I don't mind that. PDST trigger. basic negatives of all of positives. Yeah. I am really bad at spelling. Dyslexia is a burden. Yeah. Positives. Voodoo curse. Subject thinks they're under a voodoo curse, which actually causes them real problems. As in, the thinking that they are under the curse causes them problems. I kind of like that. Because, canonically, Mech Warriors are very suspicious folks. I like that. Cursed. Not a real thing, but a psychological issue that fests. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's very cool. Okay. I think there's some good progress tonight. I am flagging a bit my own self. It has been a day, but that has all been extremely helpful and useful, guys. Thanks so much. Yeah, really interesting, cool ideas all thrown about. Yeah, I'm going to save that shit, and we will get back to this next week. I'm going to have a go and I've got a lot of research, a lot of reading to go and have a look up. Mass Effect 5e, Heavy Gear, Jovian Chronicles, Everyday Heroes, and Mecha Hack, all very useful things, and Goblins and Go-Karts. Need to check that shit out as well. Goblins and Go-Karts, there it is. Fast and Furious, Minecart Mayhem, amazing. Absolute Encounters, Goblin Go-Karts. Oh, fun. Okay. Cool. Alrighty. Well, I will go away from here now because, yeah, as obvious, I am starting to fall asleep. But, yeah, it's been fun, guys. So, firstly, I should mention Wooten Forge. Yeah, that'll do. Wooten Forge are sort of sponsors now a bit, maybe. Yeah, if you want to go and check them out, there you can go to wootenforge.com, and if you go and check them out using the link in chat, you can get 10% of the sale goes to us, which would be cool because it's a way of supporting the channel and also getting yourself some beautiful handcrafted wooden tabletop accessories. Wooten Forge make incredibly beautiful things out of Australian and exotic hardwoods, like this gorgeous dice keeper that I have, that I roll all of my dice for the channel in. It's made of jarrah, and they're absolutely beautiful. They use recycled wood as well, a lot of the time. And you can do engravings. They've got new products coming out all the time. And even better, they are run by a pair of absolute fucking legends. Nelderberry and Wooten Forge in chat, both of them come along, and yeah, they're legends. They're really nice guys. So we might drop a raid on somebody now. And look, we've got a few options. I think we might raid Nerds of the West. Because they're fun peeps. Yeah. No, you know who we should raid because they're coming to play with us tomorrow night. We should raid Ardana. Ardana is playing Minecraft. So we will go and drop a raid on Ardana now. So, yeah. It's been super fun. And extremely useful, guys. So, yeah, I might go away from here now. But thanks very much for hanging out with me. I've been Josh the Pirate. You can find me here on my channel, Corsair's Cove, where I play D&D and do homebrew and stuff like that. Otherwise, yeah, you can find me on the podcast There Be Dragons, where I play the infamous and deadly pirate Scan Felspar and his little dragon Rosh, who is sadly not a space beastmaster. But maybe one day. So yeah, we will find Ardana. And yeah, we will drop a raid on them now. Throw your favorite raid emotes up in chat, tell Ardana where you came from, show them the love, and yeah, pass on the good vibes. Ardana is a lovely streamer. She will be here on Corsair's Cove tomorrow night for the second part of Tony Karlstrom's Two Shot, where we will be finishing up the story on Mars in the Mutant Chronicles system, which is very, very fun and cool. So yeah, go say hi to Ardana. I'll start that raid up now. Say goodbye, everybody. Bye, Josh. Bye.